Hello there, and one of the reasons I love living in Utah is we have a fantastic growing climate. I have grown gardens here my entire life. Some of my earliest memories are planting the garden as a family in early March. Right now it's April 17th. It's not too early or too late to plant. It's really maybe a little too late to have planted something like peas or things like that. You could have put in onions, but I find it takes a lot of room to grow enough peas to make it worth your while. And I've always had plenty of luck just planting onion sets later in the year. So anyway, I'm about ready to clean my garden, get it ready to go for the year. Let me show you what it looks like. Okay, I've gardened this spot for the last 25 years. Normally I like to clean it up in the fall, but we just had an early winter come on and it just snowed and I just didn't get around to getting everything out. So one of the things I need to do is, as you can see here, I've got individual pipes running out here with small little lines. I've got to pull this whole thing out. I used to have stand pipes right there and just sprinkled the whole thing. I did that for probably 23 years, but the last 2 years I've run individual. You can see some of those lines. I've run individual lines out to the plants. It's really cut down on the weeding that I have to do during the year. So these are pretty easy to pop on and off, so I'll get those popped on and off, get that out of the garden. Once we pull that up, then we can just start raking up all the weeds that are left over from last year, as well as I got to pull up these tomato cages, pull up the old tomato plants. And what I'm going to do is we're going to rake everything up, clean it up, and then probably till it up. And then there is a local dairy here close by to us, the Orton Dairy. They have fantastic compost, and it's like putting your garden on steroids. So I want to go get a couple truckloads of that, spread it on the garden, and till that in and let it sit for a week or two, and then we'll be ready to plant the garden. So that is the plan. And then one thing real quick, when you're getting ready to do a job like this, I highly recommend having a very sturdy rake, right? Nice good rake. And then I got some gloves up there just waiting for me to put them on. Highly recommend that you wear some gloves. Otherwise you're probably going to get some blisters, especially if it's kind of the first manual labor of the year. So anyway, let's get going on cleaning this garden and getting it all prepped for the coming year. So here's the 5 steps that I took to get my Utah garden prepped and ready to plant this season. Here we go. Let the work commence. First thing I gotta do is I gotta get these tomato cages out so that I can pull up the individual little sprinkler heads that I put around the tomatoes. Pull that up. But see, here's the little line that I ran. It really saves me a lot of work. It gets me better tomatoes because I'm just getting water right down to the root instead of getting water down on the leaves. Because when I would sprinkle it would water the whole thing, and then that can kind of rot the tomatoes from the bottom, so it's not the best way to water them. I'm finding this works better. It's just a little more work. I guess I was lazy for 23 years and didn't want to take the time to run these individual lines, but I'm doing it now. It has to be done. All right, what Mitchell is doing now is just disconnecting these pipes from our main water line so that we can pull all these pipes and these individual little lines out of the garden so we can then rake it up. We got a couple more up here I think we got to do, Mitch. So thank goodness I have a strong young son to help me get this done. We've got the pipes out, we got the cages out. Now it's time to grab the rakes and get the leaves out. Well, not leaves, but the weeds.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do that now. All right, that's what it looks like. We got the biggest majority of the weeds all raked up. We're going to throw them here away in the trash can. Next step after this is to get the tiller up and running and come get it tilled. Okay, so we got the garden all raked up and cleaned up. Now it's time to till it. Let me show you my awesome tiller. All right, there it is. It's a white by MTD. I bought this baby back in 1994 for 700 bucks, and it is still running like a champ. I love this tiller. I've had it tuned up like twice over the years. A couple years ago I had the new tines put on, and so that because it had worn down so low it wasn't digging very deep. Now we got the tines back to normal length, and this thing is a awesome addition. It will tear through this garden in just a couple minutes. So if you got a garden this size, I definitely recommend that you go find yourself a good reliable tiller. Step 3 for us was actually coming in and tilling the garden. I have to do that in a 2-step process. So my tiller's got 2 functions. It's got a forward wheel reverse tine. When I use that function, it goes really deep into the ground, breaks everything up, all that hard dirt really well, and that, it takes me about 5 times up and down to go through my garden, and then I have to come back and go over it 5 more times. But I do it on my function where I've got a forward wheel forward tine, which really leaves me really nice, loose, perfect to plant soil, and leaves it looking really pretty. So that was my step 3. So the next step, now that we've got this all tilled, is I've got to get over to the Orton Dairy and get some compost. That's what it's called. They have fantastic compost. It'll probably take 2 truckloads in my truck, and we'll spread it out with the wheelbarrow all down through the garden, and then we'll till it in. We'll leave it for a week or so, and then we'll be ready to plant and get the garden rolling. That's my step 4. I left that on there for a day. I come back with step 5, which is to till that in. I only have to go over it 1 time with my forward wheel forward tine, and that really, again, that just adds it in, makes it really nice soil, ready to go. Lots of good nutrients in here. We're basically ready to go when it comes to planting this garden. It's still really cold, so I'm not sure when we'll plant, but at this point we are ready to go. If you enjoyed this video on our garden preparation for the year, you might also enjoy our video about what it's like fishing at Strawberry Reservoir. You can click on that video right here. Or we'll also have our video out, our follow-up video on planting our garden. You can watch that video by clicking here.